Welcome to week 6. And we've got some interesting things here. There's an NFC division which has the defending Super Bowl champions in it. And nobody's above 500, which is good for the defending Super Bowl champions because tonight the Eagles are in against the Giants. And the Eagles are favored to win this one, and the Giants are 1-4. There is a large number of pretty bloody rivalries in the NFL. It honestly doesn't get much bloodier than the Eagles and the Giants. These two teams really don't like each other very much. That being said, I do think the Eagles are a better team, and I'm favoring Philly to win that one tonight. But just barely. I think this is going to be close. And if the Giants score a win here, the Eagles may very well be looking at missing the playoffs. That being said, their division does look subpar. And on Sunday, we'll see how long it remains that way. The Buccaneers are in against the Falcons. The Buccaneers are 2-2. The Falcons are 1-4. The Falcons are favored in this one, and honestly, the Bucs got that nice win in Week 1 against, I believe it was against New Orleans. I think some of that has come off. Some of that shine has come off. I'll go ahead and agree with the favorites. I'll go with the Falcons in that one because I think they likely will get their second win, and that will drop the Bucs to 2-3. Which is too bad because I like Tampa as well, but these things happen. The Chargers are 3-2. They're favored against the Cleveland Browns, who are 2-1. That's right. The Browns have 2 wins, and it should be 3, and it might as well have been 4. Honestly, this team could have been 4-1. There were certain plays that went against them. They could have ended up 4-1. They're 2-1. They are not out. So here's the thing. They're against the Chargers. They're at home. I'm going to go with the upset. And I'm going to say the Browns score the upset over the Chargers. I understand the Chargers, these guys, my team, are favored to do quite well. But the problem I have is that over the years I've learned that when they're favorites and it looks like they're going to do really well, they let me down too often, so I'm kind of blinded by that. The Jets are 2-3. They're at home against the Colts that are 1-4. This is kind of a pick'em. This is kind of a bad versus bad situation. But the Jets are favored, and I'm going to go ahead and be a coward and pick the home team in that one too, because I think the Jets will beat the Colts. I had high hopes for the Colts coming out of the gate. With this 1-4 record, I really don't now. And the Jets at 2-3, I think they're better than that record. I think they'll at least even their record for this week. Next up, Seahawks and Raiders. I'm not a Raiders fan. That being said, I also think the Hawks... Well, the Hawks were close. They almost proved me right last week. They were really close to beating the Rams. And I think they're going to be angry enough going to the Raiders. The Raiders could be homeless next year. This has become a topic of conversation. They may end up playing in San Antonio next year because their lease is up, and Oakland might tell them, get out. There are a few places that have offered them a place to stay, but it's weird because they can't go to Vegas early because the stadium isn't ready. The NFL said, no, you can't go to Vegas in 2019. So the Raiders, not only 1-4, but potentially nomads for the next year or so. And that lease runs out in, I think it's in December. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to the playoffs anyways. But wouldn't that be funny if they had to play playoff games on the road when they're a home team? All right. That being said, let us move on. The Panthers 3-1. The Redskins 2-2. The Redskins are favored. I like the Panthers. And I do. I like Carolina. I think they're good to go 4-1. I think that while Washington's got better, I don't like them against the Panthers, even though they're at home, and that's probably one of those ones that's going to bite me on the way through. But yeah, I personally, I can understand why Washington's favored, but it's not by a lot. It's very close. Houston is at home against the Bills. I believe Houston was the favorite in that one. I just didn't rate it up there. Houston 2-3, Buffalo 2-3 as well. Based on how their seasons are going, based on the fact that Houston keeps everything close, I think Houston wins this game, and it would be justice if Houston at least has a 500 record after its first 6 games. They've been so close. They've played quite well, and the 2-3 record is deceptive. Much like Cleveland's 2-1 record is deceptive, so is Houston's 2-3 record. Speaking of deceptive records, the Vikings are 2-1. They're at home against the Cards. The Vikings are favored by 10.5. That might be low. Against that spread, I might be tempted to take the Vikings. The Cards at 1-4 are basically toast, and the Vikings should go to 3-2-1 this week. Those ties, can I mention how those ties seem to have hosed some teams over. That because there's 4 ties on the board, mean 2 games that ended in ties, so there's 4 teams with ties. That's 2 teams that should have plus 500 records that don't. Now, there's also 2 teams that should have below 500 records that don't. But when you're in the NFL and there's such a very, very microscopic difference between the teams that make the playoffs and ones that don't in many cases, those ties could come back to haunt them. But Vikings should be good this week. Vegas I won't be talking about in the NFL videos for another year and a half. Steelers 2-2-1 in against the Cincinnati Bengals at 4-1. The Bengals are favorites. You know what I've learned over the years though? I have learned that when the Bengals play at home against the Steelers and they're favored, they usually lose. That seems to just be their style. The Bengals at 4-1 have played very well, and I'm proud of them. But the Steelers shouldn't be a below 500 team, and the Bengals at 5-1 feels a little bit gaudy. So I'll go ahead, and that means I'm picking against both of my teams. I'm not worthy of these jerseys. Yeah. So I'll take the Steelers in that one, not because I want them to win, because I don't, and that's usually the way it works. The Bears 3-1. They're in against the Dolphins, who are 3-2. This is a matchup that favors the Bears in every way, really. I think the Dolphins had a decent start, but I think the luster's kind of come off, and I think the Bears are going to go in there and take care of business as they are wont to do. The Rams, they're 5-0. They're in against the Broncos, who are 2-3. Now, I went against the Rams last week against the Seahawks, and I was almost right. And I was close enough to being right. There's a few times now where I've seen the Rams bailed out at the last second. And you can't do it forever. You have to take a loss or 2 during the season. I'll take the Broncos in that one. Because at some point, it has to happen. There has to be a loss. And odds are it's going to be a surprise. We're going to be like, oh, wow, the Rams lost. But, you know, if a team goes 13-3, odds are out of those 3 losses, probably 2 of them are going to be of the surprise variety because it's a pretty good team. And the Rams, 5-0, pretty solid start. The Ravens are 3-2. They're in against the Titans. The Ravens are favored, and I will go ahead and agree with that. Notice Jacksonville and Tennessee are both 3-2. I said at the start of the year these teams always have the same record. Anytime I'm paying attention, it's kind of weird. I can't keep them apart. And so I will go ahead and take the Ravens. Now, because I'm taking the Ravens, that drops the Titans to 3-3. The Jags are favored at 3-2 against the Cowboys, who are 2-3. So that means I'm going to favor the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have underachieved this year, but the Cowboys should still be a 500 team. That division can't be that bad. It can't be that bad, can it? I guess it can. It's been that bad before. I remember a couple of occasions where teams were 8-8 or 7-9 and made the playoffs in the past. So it can happen where an entire division is just awful. But I don't think that's going to be the NFC East this year. I don't. So I'll take the Cowboys in that one, just barely, and the Ravens over the Titans. The Chiefs are 5-0. They're against the Patriots, who are 3-2. The Patriots are favored. The Chiefs are 5-0. The Patriots look like they're back. And the Patriots look like they're not going anywhere. So hey, maybe the Patriots are done. Yeah, they did it to us again this year. That being said, the Chiefs are 5-0, and I don't think this is going to be an easy one. But, yeah, I'll agree. I'll take the Patriots, but that's just a barely. The Packers. So how about a kicker screwing you out of games? As a Chargers fan, I know how that works. Packers saw that as well this past week. They're 2-2-1 instead of 3-1-1 as a result. And they're going to be mad against a Niners team that, really honestly, the Niners need some help. And they're not going to get it this week from the Packers. Of course, the bye this week belongs to the Detroit Lions and the New Orleans Saints. Other than that, everybody else is playing. I don't expect to be right, but let me know your picks in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.